Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hammer Territory podcast. This is episode 273. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Wednesday evening here in late September. And I'm joined, as I always am, by Scott Coleman. Scott, the Braves are capable of losing again. We found that out on Wednesday. How are you?
Hello, Brad. I was really rooting for 14 straight wins to end the regular season. It would have been fitting in this very challenging year that we had. Of course, the winning streak is over, and now the Braves just have 3 games left, and they're winnable games against the Pirates. So, sure, if you're going for vibes, I would imagine the Braves keep winning this weekend and go into the offseason on about as high of a note as you can be when you're below 500.
Yeah, it is interesting. And we'll talk about the games a little bit later on in the show. We should also encourage people at the top of the podcast to check us out. Subscribe to Hammer Territory. We cover the Braves all year round. So subscribe on whatever podcast platform you like, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. But the Braves did just win 10 games in a row. It's outrageous to say out loud. They lost today. We'll talk about that later on. It was their longest winning streak since they had a 14-game winning streak in June of 2022. So we alluded to this on Sunday, but they had a longer winning streak just now than they had in all of the 2023 season when they won 104 games.
Yeah.
Baseball, Scott. Baseball is a bizarre mistress, I guess is the word I'll use right now.
Yeah. You know what? I am sad that the season is coming to an end, Brad.
We like baseball. We like it.
We do. And I mean, I'd be lying. I'm not going to come on here and lie and say that there was a lot of fun baseball in June, July, August, where this team just nearly drove us off a cliff and sent us to the insane asylum. But you know what, man? As of Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I mean, no more Braves baseball until I think opening day is March 28th next year. And that's sad. And obviously big offseason ahead, all of that. We're going to talk about that and document it plenty on the podcast in the coming weeks before the offseason gets going. But it is, we are at the very end of the finish line here. And it's for the first time since 2017 that we don't have playoff baseball to talk about with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it sure is. And we will get into that later. There were some interesting takeaways from the last couple of days of games. We had a show Sunday that you and I did. We had a show on Monday that Sean and Steven did that are worth listening to. We talked about a lot of stuff, and there's more to get to. The offseason is here. I know that a lot of our feedback has been talk about the offseason. Guys, we're going to get there. I promise. We're not going to stop doing shows. It's coming. We're trying to save some bullets, even though we have talked about a lot of different things that are future facing in the last couple of weeks just by necessity. But I promise we'll get to all the reviews and the previews, and it's all happening. We assure you of that. There was some big baseball news, not only Braves news, but baseball news that I wanted to get to pretty early in the show. Just to build on what you just said, I think if the Braves were in a pennant race or the Braves were going to the playoffs, we probably wouldn't talk about this early in the show, but we would talk about it for sure. And it's a big deal. It happened between our last show and this show. Baseball, Major League Baseball, I should say, officially announced that the automatic ball strike challenge system, the ABS challenge system, is coming officially in 2026. A lot of people were predicting this, expecting it, but now it's official. And I actually don't remember what you've said on the record. I know I have said I like this. I like the challenge system. That's where I stand. I'll throw it to you. We'll kind of go through some specifics about this, but I think nerds like us generally tend to like this. But what was your takeaway from this now being a thing that's we can now plan for? It's going to be happening in late March 2026.
Yeah. So I'm all for this. I think baseball had to try to find the appropriate mixture of leaving the human element and umpires calling balls and strikes, just like umpires have called balls and strikes for 150 years at this point. I was not in favor of a fully automatic strike zone. I don't know. Where do you see? I mean, maybe that's a hot take, but me personally, I think it would become almost boring if you had an automatic strike zone. Where are you on that?
I think, and of course, we've not seen the challenge system enough to really know how it's going to go, but I think this is the best case scenario. I am with you. It's interesting. I've battled back and forth between okay, if it's only what it is now and only robot umps fully automated, I might like fully automated better, but I don't know for sure. I've never been a zealot. I know we joke about robot umps, please, and I get that. I'd say that all the time, when it just umpires are bad. I think the challenge system is the right thing in the middle. I
Me
do
too.
have one quibble that we'll talk about in a second, but to answer you, like I like this better, even if I'm not against full robot zones in the way that some are. Although I get it, I do like the nuance of like catcher framing and stuff. Like you lose all that if
Yeah.
it goes full. So I get on both sides, but this is kind of the good mix for me.
And I'm curious. So if folks didn't see, teams now get 2 challenges per game. If you challenge incorrectly, one of your challenges goes away. If you challenge correctly, then you get to keep your challenge.
Yep.
So I think that's probably the best happy medium that I could come up with. I did see people saying, well, 2 isn't enough. I almost wonder if 2 adds a layer of strategy to it where, like, people were like, well, every player should get a challenge. Well, that feels like players are going to just start challenging just for the sake of challenging.
Yep.
You want to be strategic because, and this is maybe the most interesting layer, if you waste a challenge in the first or second inning with bases empty, maybe it should have been strike 3, instead it's ball 4. Okay, sure. In the moment, that's a significant swing, but it's not necessarily going to change the game, more likely than not. So I'm very curious to see kind of the game within the game of how aggressive are players going to be with challenging. Do all players on the roster just get like a blanket green card, if you will, to challenge? Like, does Nacho Alvarez get to go up there and challenge a call in the second inning the same way that Ronald Acuna Jr. does? Because if you only get 2, Brad, you better be damn sure that you were right. And nobody wants to waste a challenge with bases empty in the second inning of a 0-0 game.
No, you're right. It will be fascinating. I tend to think, without look, it's so early. I think the stars should and probably will on most teams get a little bit more freedom to challenge. On the Braves, that would be guys like Ronnie, guys like Matt Olson, whoever. Like pick your other, Juan Soto is the one everyone's always used as the example. Like Juan Soto should probably have carte blanche to challenge whatever he wants to because he's got the best eye in the world. Like he should probably be allowed to do whatever he wants on challenges. Ronnie's really good too. Like I think Ronnie would be a guy that I'd be like, all right, Ronnie, like don't go crazy. But if you think they missed one, because like you said, just to emphasize this, like you could challenge 10 times in the game if you won all 10. You could keep going, you could keep challenging. So like if it was only 2 and they went away, it would be really interesting. Like the priority levels and things, like you would almost never challenge early in a game ever, unless it was like bases loaded or something and you got completely hosed. But
Right.
now with the fact that you can retain it does make it like probably a greener light for most guys. But also, if you're a manager or general manager or whatever, it's like you better be right early in the game in particular. You got to be right.
Yeah, and I think you said, bases loaded. Absolutely. I'm not saying that there's a
Oh,
blanket
yeah.
don't challenge in the first 4 innings, because sometimes the biggest moment of the game comes in the first, in the second, in the third inning. So it's fascinating. I would imagine maybe we'll do a poll or people in the comments on YouTube can weigh in. But I mean, I think most baseball fans are in favor of this. It's going to be different, just like when they made the rule changes a couple of years ago with the pitch clock and the shifting. It's going to be different. It's going to be a little weird to see a player tap either their helmet or their hat, and they're going to show, I believe, just kind of like in tennis, they're going to have on the screen, they're going to have like a real-time showing of where the pitch was, whether it was a strike or a ball. Like that'll be different. It's something that hasn't really happened in the major leagues before, but I think this time in a year we'll be in favor of it, because the one thing I think every baseball fan can agree on is nobody wants the biggest situation of the entire game dictated or changed by a bad call. Like,
Yeah.
It should be strike 3 and Angel Hernandez blows a call, and instead it's ball 4 and a runner comes in to score and the game entirely changes, right? Like, I think that's something. I think that the challenge system will be for the better of Major League Baseball, but until we see it, it's going to be, it's going to be fascinating to see when the first challenge happens next year, just kind of what the overall reaction is.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that are not super dialed in that will be annoyed by it or won't like it if it doesn't go their way. And I get that. And you're right. I think if you're still going to get calls that are blown, like there'll be times when the teams lose 2 challenges and later on, but there is a recourse that baseball can say, look, yeah, we missed the call, but you blew 2 challenges earlier in the game. You had the choice to do that and you messed up. Yeah. So at least there's some onus on the team, on the player to not mess it up, etc. By the way, I know I already saw somebody talking about this a little bit in our comments today. about like the length of game. You know, there's been this push by baseball that's worked really well with the pitch clock to speed games up, and this is going to add a few seconds. Like baseball's guidance put this out in spring training. This actually happened last year. They were running it in a 288 games. The average number of challenges per game was 4.1 total challenges per game, and they averaged 13.8 seconds per challenge. So if you do 4 times 14 seconds, that's less than a minute of added time in every game.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Scott. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with an extra minute to have this be part of baseball. I love it. I'm glad they're doing it. Will it work perfectly? We'll see. But I am totally in favor, and I know that not everybody is. I get that too. I get the arguments on all sides. I think it's a good middle ground to use technology and at least clean up some of the really bad ones. Because nothing enrages people like us more. They're diehards, and like you see a pitch that's like nowhere close, and it's like, come on, man! Like what are we doing here? And those are the ones that I wish you can easily challenge and get changed.
Well, and hopefully it reels in just the absolute worst of the worst with umpires. I think in the Padres game the other night, and I think even Jeff Passan was kind of using this as an example. I think there were like 24 pitches that were called incorrectly that weren't even within like the margin of error that they always talk about around the zone, where it's like, yeah, that's the plate, but you get like 2 inches all the way around is deemed like the margin of error, within the confines of the plate. Like it was egregious. And there was a pitch that was like a foot off the plate that was called a strike. Hopefully this kind of prevents the absolute worst of the worst. But I mean, to be fair to the umpires, they do get it right more times than not. Like no umpire's perfect. And that's baseball, man. Like that is part of the game. If you're a pitcher and that umpire is giving you the outer corner, guess where you're throwing the ball? You're going to go on the outer corner. That you're taught that from T-ball.
It's also funny for Braves fans of a certain age. We grew up on Maddox and Glavine getting a lot of extra wiggle room. We can be honest about that now. Like but they earned it. But they also there's some nuance there, and it's like it's always been like, all right, well, we grew up on this. It worked to the Braves' advantage for a long time. Maybe not always, but yeah, it'll level out. But to put a pin in it, like I think we both like this. We're both in favor. We'll see how it goes. It may not work. I think it's going to, but it may not be received perfectly. Like there was when they did the pitch clock, I think we both liked it, but it was like, all right, we'll see how this goes. And it worked great. Everybody seems to like it now.
Yeah.
Challenges, I think it's going to be the same, but we will see next year.
You can always make adjustments too. Like nothing is set in stone for the next decade. Like you could always add more challenges. You could change the parameters. Maybe you only get one challenge in the first few innings, and then you only get one challenge in the later innings. I don't know. I'm sure that baseball has kind of thrown a lot of things at the wall, and we'll see what sticks. But yeah, a big announcement for baseball. I do feel like the rule changes that Major League Baseball has implemented in recent years have been undoubtedly for the better. Like the pitch clock, the lack of the restrictions on like the extreme shifting. Like I got really sick of watching 4 infielders stand on the other side of second base. Like what are we doing at that point? So yeah, I'm in favor of this. I'm in favor of some of the other changes baseball has made. And I guess we'll find out just how well it is received. And hopefully they have all the kinks worked out by the time the real games get going. I guess, late March of next year.
A rare point of us disagreeing is that I actually like the extreme shifts and wish they would stop banning the shift. But that's not worth arguing about on a podcast in September 2025. That's a settled issue, Scott. It's already been done. It's okay. I'm not mad about it either. So we can let it go for now.
Maybe on like January 3rd, when it's like the absolute dead of winter and there's nothing to talk about. Maybe we'll do an episode just like ways we would improve Major League Baseball.
It's not a bad idea. Anyway, well, that's a interesting lead baseball topic. We will get into some Brave stuff, some of the game action for the last couple of days. But first, a player spotlight segment from our friends at the Pick Six app from DraftKings. We're sponsored today by the folks from the Pick Six app at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. And our player spotlight today is going to be a young man named Michael Harris. Quite a roller coaster for Mike this season, as we've covered throughout the year. But he did have a big week for the Braves this week, at least this last few days. He has 8 hits in his last 4 games, including 2 homers and 2 doubles. So nice to see that from Mike. Obviously, there's all kinds of talk always about his adjustments and what's going to happen in the future. But one that we shut him out for a big week. Scott, what do you make of this, if anything? Obviously, there was a bit of a slump before that, and then before that, a hot streak, and before that, a slump, and it's been that kind of year for Mike.
Just such a bizarre year for Michael Harris. And if you're trying to be optimistic, you can tell yourself that for a month, Michael Harris was like maybe the best player in baseball. Shortly after the All-Star break, he was so good. And then, of course, he went into another bad slump, almost like worse than where he was in the first half of the season. But the fact that Mike is ending the season on a high note is encouraging. We know he has the power. We know he has all the God-given ability. It's just some of the issues that have plagued Mike throughout his whole career are things he's going to have to change moving forward if he doesn't want to be on this crazy roller coaster of being really hot and then really, really cold.
Yep, for sure. Obviously, I think he still has, if not the lowest walk rate in baseball this year. I think he's in the top 2. He was number 1 at one point. But he's been a little bit unlucky too. Like his expected numbers are better than his actual numbers. His BABIP is way below it normal. So like there's some room for numbers-based optimism. But anyway, wanted to shout out Mike. He had a good week, some good power, helped the Braves win a game that we'll talk about later on in the podcast, etc. So shout out to Michael Harris. Hopefully he can find this more consistently moving forward. Now, Scott, let's take a look at some pick six options from our friends at DraftKings for the game on Thursday in the NFL. I will give you first pick, Scott, as we build our card. Where are we going for Cardinals, your Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks on Thursday?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with less than 212 and a half passing yards for Kyler Murray. I don't know, Brad. Kyler, I mean, he was once a big-time baseball prospect too, actually. Got drafted and everything. But just not a Kyler Murray fan. I've never seen it myself. So I will go with less than 212 and a half passing yards.
On the other side, I am taking Kenneth Walker more than 0.5 touchdowns. So basically, Kenneth Walker to find the end zone. Part of that is that Zach Charbonnet, as we're recording this, is questionable, the other running back for the Seahawks. And I think Ken Walker is at least a high upside player that can find the end zone and will get the ball, especially if Charbonnet is unavailable. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5, give it $50 in bonus picks from Pick 6. Make the call, ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Scott, we already discussed the Braves streak coming to an end. But let's discuss some particulars from the last 2 days of action. Again, we had a show on Monday, so we'll kind of take that game and put it to the side for a moment. But Tuesday's game was the 10th straight win for the Braves. Yeah. Ironically, Tuesday and Wednesday had the same exact offensive output for the Braves. They scored 3 runs in both games. In both games, they had 3 solo home runs. So the last 2 days, they have 6 solo home runs, 3 and 3. That was it. In one game, they had enough to win by 1. And then the next game, it was not enough to lose by 1. So synergy, I guess. The Braves have been scoring 5 runs in every game, and they stopped doing that. And when you don't score 5 runs, you lose more often.
Yep.
Breaking news.
Good to see some power from the boys. That's one thing. I know it's been documented on the show, but the home run ball has been few and far between for this team. That was, of course, the hallmark of the Braves' success in 21, 22, 23, and it's gone away a little bit the last couple of years, but good to see some power. And I mean, really, my big takeaway from Tuesday night was just Hurston Waldrep looked really good again. Yep. And it's now confirmed. It was actually Hurston Waldrep's final start of the 2025 season. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. He did walk 4. His command early was escaping him a little bit, but got 5 strikeouts. And I mean, let's just kind of go over the numbers for a player who, I mean, was really not on people's radar as late as like May and June because Waldrep was struggling so much in Gwinnett. His numbers since he came up on August 1st are like legitimately good, Brad, and reasons for optimism going forward.
Yeah, and we've covered it, but as a reminder, like he came up for a spot start in an emergency because of a rain out in a standalone game. It was all bizarre. Yeah. And then since then, 56 in the 3rd innings, 2.88 ERA, 3.22 FIP. Like, I know his ERA was in the ones for a while. That was never going to sustain. We all knew that. But you look up and, he was in the rotation for 2 months-ish and had really good numbers. And the supporting numbers are good too. Like, it was not just like an ERA based, like some guys, without naming names, like they have great ERA runs. And it's like, well, everyone that's looking at the numbers and the underlying data is like flashing red light to say this is not a real thing. With Waldrep, it was going to regress, but it regressed to like, it still looks pretty good under the hood for Hurston. And that's for us a process-driven podcast, like really, really exciting because it's kind of funny. He was better in the majors than he was in Gwinnett on a stat-based resume standpoint. That's kind of funny. But I'll throw it back to you. Like it looked to me like the stuff played up, and this isn't everything, but this is a first-round pick pedigree. Like no one was ever doubting the raw talent with Waldrep, and he seems to have harnessed it appropriately in the major leagues this year.
And we all know that Waldrep's splitter is fantastic. Like
that's his pitch.
Honestly, the day the Braves drafted Hurston Waldrep, that was like a major league ready split finger. But we know the name of the game with Hurston is the other offerings. And credit to Gaurav Videk, friend of the show, who works for Baseball Prospectus. But Gaurav shared that Waldrep's knuckle curveball was actually rated as the second best pitch thrown across the entire major leagues on Tuesday night. And it looked really good. Watching the game on Tuesday, Waldrep had a couple of nasty curves that he got for strike 3. Looks really good. And you start to tell yourself a story of you have that split finger that's really, really effective. If he has a legitimate weapon with that knuckle curve that he throws, which is already kind of a funky pitch in addition to that splitter, the fastball does not have to be John Smoltz prime level fastball for him to get hitters out. I mean, just locate the thing decently well and throw it, 95, 96 to keep hitters honest. So that was really encouraging. If Waldrep has that splitter and a curveball he can go to, I mean, this kid could be really, really good next season. And that is a massive step forward for the Braves and the future of this rotation.
It absolutely is. And we will definitely do a deeper dive or 2 or 3 in the offseason. So we're not going to do that now. But, age 23 season obviously went well. Big step forward. He is at the very least a big factor next year.
Yeah.
We don't know what that's going to look like yet. I personally am not like, oh, he's the third starter, like a fourth starter. I'm not doing that yet. But he is certainly now firmly in the mix for next year's rotation. And to do the bit we always do, you're going to need more than 5 starters. So he's going to be one of them. We will certainly see him next year, knock on wood for health purposes, but an encouraging performance today and also over the last couple months for Hurston Waldrep. Oh, by the way, just a quick mention. We mentioned the 3 home runs. 2 of them were Harris, who we talked about earlier on the podcast. One of them, Rowland Acuna. Breaking news, Rowland Acuna is really good at baseball. The last 2 weeks, his OPS is like 1,100 with 5 home runs. Gone are the days when, for some reason, people worried about Rowland Acuna. I never understood why, but they were, and here we go. He's a star, guys. It's going to be fun.
And there was a note too. Somebody pointed this out on Twitter that Ronald has actually opened up his batting stance a little bit in the month of September. I retweeted it on Wednesday morning. If folks want to go and find it, it shouldn't be too buried on my feed. But Acuna has made some adjustments to where his feet set up. So I just feel like Ronald, he's such a talented player. And it just feels like when he is in a slump, at least by his standards, he just goes in the cage and starts tinkering with things. And he's like, you know what? This works. And now I'm going to hit 420-foot home runs to right center field because I am a freak. And I mean, God willing, let's get through these final 3 games healthy and then have a normal offseason. And let's have Ronald back in the MVP conversation in 2026.
I think he will be. I think I might pick him to win it. If he is healthy between now and then and no issues, I might pick him because guess what? When he is healthy, he is conservatively a top 5 player in baseball, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think I am. Based
easily.
On what we see
maybe
when
top
he's out there.
Maybe top 3.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. All right, let's get to Wednesday's game. Again, the streak came to an end today. A 4-3 loss to the Nationals. The Sean Coleman, Scott Coleman, just dream of 14 in a row. I know the 2 of you are really championing the potential of that down the stretch. It stopped. 4-3 loss, like nothing. Honestly, in a vacuum, it was a very ho-hum loss. The Braves kind of tried to come back at the end. They were not able to. Again, only hit 3 solo home runs, and they all won the last 4 innings. The offense was not great today. Home runs from Baldwin, Ozuna, and Eli White hit a home run. one of the storylines of today was, besides the loss, Drake Baldwin homered again. That's now 4 home runs in the last 2 weeks for Drake. He's been really good. So it's his little like early month swoon, I would say. Mini swoon. We'll call it a mini swoon. Wasn't way very long. He was fine.
Yeah.
But we've been, of course, chronicling like almost every day the Rookie of the Year race. It took a little bit of a turn on Tuesday. Cade Horton is the primary competition for Baldwin. He wasn't bad, but he left his start after 3 innings with a medical thing. He seems to be fine, but he didn't go deep in the game. It was kind of a weird performance. And then Baldwin hits the home run today, and I look up, and our friends at DraftKings have Baldwin pretty substantially cutting into the deficit of the betting odds. Caveats apply. Betting odds are not gospel on awards voting at all. But Baldwin is a much closer to 50-50 than he was just 3 days ago. So, hey, some progress, partially because Drake's been awesome recently.
Yeah. Oh, he's so awesome. I mean,
he's really good. Yeah.
I just enjoy talking about Drake Baldwin, watching Drake Baldwin play baseball. Like, he's just such a good player. Farly exceeded my expectations. And I had expectations coming into the year for Baldwin. But this dude is just complete hitter, so talented, really steady behind the plate. Seems like the pitcher's like throwing to him. Just the total package as a rookie. And it'd be really great recognition for Drake to win Rookie of the Year. And hopefully he can have a good final homestand or home series of the year and keep making up ground on Horton, because it would be not only great for Baldwin, but as we know, and as a reminder, the Braves would get an extra first-round pick if Baldwin wins Rookie of the Year.
And I don't think people should overweight it, but it might be helpful on the margins to voters who may not be super dialed into the Braves the last couple of months because the Braves have been out off the radar. If he has a big weekend at the end of the season, maybe get some more attention for that, and it might swing a vote or two. But whether it should or not, just the reality is it's a random 30-person sampling of BBWA voters at the end of the year that vote on this. And if he has 2 home runs this weekend or has a big weekend at the very end, it's like, oh, Drake Baldwin's hot right now. Let me look at his stats. And, objectively, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, let's get like a walk-off Drake Baldwin 2-run homer or something like that to make the headlines, get on MLB's Twitter, like all those things.
I do think, like, without being we won't lie to you on the podcast. I think Drake Baldwin, for me, I would vote for Drake Baldwin right now for Rookie of the Year if I was a voter. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. I think that Drake has a slightly better – he's not a slam dunk case by any means. Horton has been good. Baldwin, I think, being a catcher is a big thing for me. Hitting the way he is hit while being a very solid defender at catcher. Not an elite one, obviously. I think Murphy is better than him right now defensively. But, like, Baldwin's fine. Like, Baldwin's a fine defender as a rookie who mashes. And, like, that's a really tough spot, really valuable player. I would lean in his direction personally, but we will probably litigate that, I'm sure, at some point in October when the voting's closer. We'll probably do a full deep dive on that race as it comes. But go Drake. Would be fun for the Braves.
Love the Drake.
We love the Drake.
FT fam, it's still time for you to check out what bathing suit you're wearing and why it's not Fair Harbor. Can we get a little show and tell from Eric Kratz? Nice.
I mean, unfortunately, you can't even see all the little intricacies. We got sharks, we got patterns, we got waves, we got sailboats. Oh, and they feel super buttery on your skin.
Can you show us the liner so people can understand how it's different? Because I've actually been talking it up. I was just on a vacation.
I got the unique liner too. I got the baby blue, John. Something about it. I don't know. It pops.
Head to fairharborclothing.com/foul20 and use code foul20, foul20 for 20% off your order. Once again, that's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul20 for 20% off. Make sure you use that promo code foul20 so they know FT sent you.
Just a funny note. I think Sean and Steven mentioned this on Monday, but Matt also won Player of the Week last week in the National League. Rightfully so. He was awesome. He's been on an absolute heater. I laughed that it was announced Monday morning, and he is this week in the 3 games since then, 0-15. Matt's still really good, guys, but we can laugh about him being over 15 as soon as they announce Player of the Week.
The Braves' ability to gather these hitters who are either just absolutely scorching hot out of their minds or in like an O for whatever skid is amazing. And it's not exclusive to the Braves and all that, but just very on brand. Matt Olson could not make an out last week, and now he is 0 for 15 against one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball with the Nationals.
Yeah, for whatever reason, he did not enjoy the National staff in the last 3 days or so. Last thing from Wednesday, Bryce Elder was decent again. Bryce has been really solid for a couple weeks, months now. He threw 7 innings today, give up 3 runs, but struck out 7. He ends the year with a 5.30 ERA.
Oh boy!
So we can be honest about that. Obviously, he was bad for most of the season. He did, as we laughed about recently on the show, lead the team in starts, innings, etc. That's more of a bad sign for the team than anything else. But he did have an ERA in like the mid 2s over his last 6 starts of the season. Like he was a competent starter the last like month and a half, which it didn't matter by then. But I mean, he's not, to be very clear, he's not in the Hurston Waldrep zone. You shouldn't bank on him. But I think that Bryce will probably still be in the organization next year because his value to the team and the way they think about it is probably higher than his trade value would be. And I'm okay with him as like the 10th starter, maybe the 8th starter even. 8th starter, fine. Like he's not good. I will stand on that. He's not good, but he is someone you can throw in a non-embarrassing fashion in a Major League Baseball game. So
absolutely. And hopefully the offense is better, more consistent next season. Hopefully the bullpen's a little deeper, healthier. You know, if Bryce Elder is coming up for 2 spot starts against the Marlins and the Pirates, and the Braves are in a perfect world, much better, and in above 500 and not necessarily sweating every game, that's fine. Like, sure, you don't want to rely on Bryce Elder, but injuries are going to happen. Players are going to need a day, whatever the situation is. But we just can't go into another year where Bryce Elder is anywhere near the rotation on opening day, because God knows by All-Star break, they're probably going to have to call on Bryce to make a couple of starts. And ideally, you're just in a good situation where you can withstand a couple of his starts instead of having to really rely on the guy like they did this year.
Yeah, I mean, the funniest part about that is you're right, but also he wasn't in the rotation. He wasn't supposed to be in the rotation anyway. This is a reminder that, like, our bit aside, like you need, it's more than 5, more than 6, more than 7. He ended up leading the team in starts and innings while not being in the opening day rotation. That is how this works sometimes in Major League Baseball. So having depth around, it matters. Before we get to a look ahead to the brief final weekend of the season, did you have a reaction to Ozzie Albies' injury that you wanted to get out? If you don't, that's fine. We can move on. Sean and Steven covered it for us on the show on Monday if anybody missed it, but I wanted to at least give you the chance to offer any thoughts you might have had on Ozzie's season-ending injury and, of course, the influence, I would say more importantly, on the future than the present.
Yeah. I mean, no grand take. Just I wish Ozzie's body would cooperate for once, because he's just had a laundry list of injuries at this point in his career, and it sucks. Hamate bones are scary. It's the same wrist that he broke a year ago. Not what you wanted to see, but I don't think it changes anything for the Braves in terms of picking up his option. I don't know if it swung anything for you, Brad, but I think they bring back Ozzie unless they do a scan of his hand. If his hand is just like absolutely destroyed, which I don't think it would be, unless they have medical reason to believe that Ozzie's never going to hit again, I think you bring him back and just hope that with a full off season, strengthening that hand and building back his grip strength and everything, that he will be mostly fine. And hopefully even as the year goes along, he'll continue to get even better.
I tend to agree. I thought some of the reaction was overboard with like, oh, they can't pick up the option now. I don't think that's the case. If it was expensive, like if his option was $15 million, it'd be a different discussion, but it's not. It's $7 million with a buyout. So, yeah, I think that it's not great. Clearly, I mean, I've always been an Ozzie defender, but I think that it's worrisome for sure. I think that if you wanted to argue, and I probably will argue this winter, having someone in the organization that you feel good enough about, if Ozzie isn't Ozzie, to play at second base would be helpful. Maybe it's Nacho Alvarez. Maybe they have Nacho play second base in the Arizona Fall League, and we'll see how that goes. And that'd be reasonable to me.
I will make the drive over and say, listen, guys, Nacho Alvarez at second base today. Let's get him in there. I can pull some strings for sure.
I'm not the biggest Nacho guy, but like I think that would be a reasonable thing. I've seen Brandon Lau's name thrown around, a guy who has played some second and some outfield, like that kind of free agent acquisition that could, not like a primer second baseman, but could play there if Ozzie wasn't available. But without doing the spoiling all of our offseason content, you look at the of the free agent list at second base, it's really Gleyber Torres, and that's kind of it at second base, or in Ozzy. And I think you already have Ozzy. You're already paying the buyout. I would just keep him. And yeah, maybe to your point, the medicals are stuff we don't know about. But if you go off of the normal recovery time, everyone said this already. I know Sean Steven did too. Like, you can't just say, oh, he'll be recovered in 6 to 8 weeks and be 100%. That's different things. But it happening now versus it happening in spring training, it's better that it happened now. You get the whole winter, and hopefully he's back and right. But yeah, it sucks because he had kind of not blown everybody away, but he kind of looked like Ozzy the last 2 months. And it's like, all right, no one, he's not this, he wasn't playing like the star he was a couple years ago, but he was clearly playing average starting second base or better the last 2+ months of the season.
Yeah.
And making that much money, that's all he needs to be. He doesn't have to be a star making $7 million. It's fine. It's just that you hope that this is not messing up that aspect of it.
Yeah. Interesting name. And I think Steven mentioned this name a while back, but Willie Castro is also a pending free agent. Castro predominantly played with the Twins. Now he's with the Cubs, I think, but free agent to be, can play some second base, can play some outfield, kind of like a utility player, decent enough hitter. So maybe a player like that would make sense for the Braves, just to kind of help cover up the questions they have with injuries. So just wanted to say his name out loud while we talk about the free agent class.
Yep, we will see and have a extensive preview on that, I can assure you, later on in the winter. Last thing before we get out of here. On this show, on Sunday, you and I discussed, we kind of laughed about it, the potential of Charlie Morton coming back to the Braves. That happened, Scott. The Braves signed Charlie Morton.
Yeah, baby.
That's one thing. Number two, I said on the show, and I meant what I said, that if Charlie made a start with the Braves, I would make sure I was in the building for it. Barring a change, that is not going to happen. The Braves have announced their probables. And look, probables not definite, but when you announce probables, they are your probables. They've announced that it's going to be Joey Wentz on Friday, Spencer Strider on Saturday, and Chris Sale on Sunday. I'm fine with that, by the way. I'm not offended that they're not going to give Charlie a start. People probably think that I will be. I'm not bothered by it. It's fine. I would be fine if he pitched on Sunday and Chris Sale was done for the season, but Chris Sale probably wants to pitch, and you're not going to tell Chris Sale no. That's kind of what I'm guessing at this point. And I don't know about you. I kind of hope that Charlie relieves Chris Sale on Sunday and finishes the game.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to happen. Now, granted, I'm in the tank for Charlie. I've always been in the tank for Charlie. So that's my tank for Charlie stance. It doesn't matter, guys. The game doesn't matter. I understand it might not be the best thing for them to win. That's fine. They've been managing too much to win the last couple of weeks anyway, in my opinion. So I don't know what you think about that. But Charlie's not starting. It's unfortunate. So hey, save me some money. I don't have to buy a ticket this weekend, which is nice.
There you go. Yeah, and I think too for Morton, I'd like to see whatever day it is that Charlie comes out of the bullpen.
Just pitch somewhere, please.
Pitch an inning, come back out for the next inning, get one out, and then have Brian Snitker come out, shake hands. I'm sure the Braves will have something said. It should be a pretty full Truist Park, even though it's the end of the season and all that. It should be a pretty nice audience. And hopefully the fans realize it's very likely the end of the road for Charlie Morton. A+ human being, World Series champion with the Atlanta Braves, just great ambassador for the franchise, such a nice guy. I know when we had Justin Toscano on the show in the spring, he talked about just conversations he had with Charlie Morton on his time on the beat, and just such a thoughtful, smart, kind human being. And I think that's probably the ultimate compliment you can give a professional athlete, because they are all very talented. They're all great at what they do. They all work hard, spend hours in the gym. But Charlie just being that good of a human being says a lot about him, and hopefully he gets the send-off that he deserves.
Yeah, and look, again, I don't want to overstate it. I thought people that were mad the Braves brought Charlie, but I don't understand that. I get it. If they were playing for something right now, I would understand the reaction, but they're not. The season's over. They're not doing. And by the way, we said this on the show. Probably didn't explain it as well as we could have. I'll take responsibility for that. They didn't even have to claim him. After we did the show on Sunday, he got outright released. He'd already been DFA'd. He got released after that, which made him basically free. So, so there's no downside whatsoever. I know that on the day he was called up, they sent Lara down, and it was not because of Morton. it is what it is. Like they just didn't want Lauren up for some reason. It doesn't matter. But Charlie, hope he pitches. If he doesn't pitch, like I'm not going to throw a fit. It's not that big of a deal. I'd like for him to. If you bring him back, for me, it's like kind of silly if you don't have him pitch at some point this weekend. Like it's almost not. It's not quite. It's not quite as bad as the Kimbrel thing, where it was like baffling to every degree. But I don't know why you sign Morton and don't have him pitch this weekend. So I'm expecting him to pitch at some point. I don't know when it's going to be. But if I knew when it was going to be, I'd go. Honestly, if they said like right now today, hey, Charlie's going to pitch the 6th inning on Friday, I would probably try to go on Friday.
Yeah,
but we don't. They're not going to do that. So who knows?
Yeah, hell of a career for Chuck. And really, you just look around, like some of these, they're better than Charlie Morton, but Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, like we're coming to kind of the end of an era for some of these remarkably talented, very, very accomplished, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famers. And yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully Charlie gets a send off. It's against the Pirates. Hopefully he goes out there and just gets a couple of outs in a clean inning and get out, go out on top, because the Braves crushed Charlie in Detroit over the weekend.
Yeah, and it is at least a couple more days where there is someone on the Braves roster older than I am. Once they cut ties with Jesse Chavez, I have been older than the entire roster, and there's a decent chance, Scott, that once Charlie is done this weekend, that there may never be a player older than me on the Braves roster. There could be, but it's not a given. So I'm ancient. Chris Sale's older than you. I know there's players that are older than you. I think Rysell was I think he's older than you.
Me and Ozuna are like the same age.
Yeah, Marcel Pierce Johnson's 30, same age as Ozuna, etc. So you still got a couple guys. I got nobody. If once they go really, really old in free agency, hey, if Justin Verlander wants to come sign with the Braves, come on down, Justin. Feel free.
You are in your podcasting prime, Brad Rowland.
Maybe. I suppose that's not true, but alas. All right. Before I start sharing stat nuggets on Tyler Kinley, which I have a bunch of them, but I won't share them even minute 41 of the podcast. He let a home run today, and that was his first home run these allowed with the Braves. ERA of 0.74 for Tyler Kinley.
Yeah,
they laughed at us, Scott. They laughed at us, Scott, when we said it might be a decent find. They laughed at us. They made fun of us.
Kinley. Yeah, I think Tyler Kinley is going to be on the team next season.
Well, Snick gave some quotes. Again, this is buried deep in the podcast. I think it was I can't think DOB had it. Somebody had it. Snick gave some. Obviously, he's not in charge of the roster, but he was like, they're impressed with Tyler Kinley. They seem to like Tyler Kinley. So
yeah, it's a nice find.
Nice find. All right, Scott, let's get out of here. Anything else to plug? If not, we can sign off this thing. Go Colts. Between now and the time we talk again, they might be 4-0. We'll see how that goes. We will have a show, I think, on Thursday or Friday. Some of us will have a show at some point between now and Sunday. But
yeah. Yes, go Colts indeed. This will be coming. No, we would never betray. Brad would never betray his Atlanta Falcons. He is a Falcons fan forever.
I really should, though. I really should betray the Falcons at some point soon. Maybe I'll be one of those people that just picks a new team in adult age. No, I'm I
can't do it. Can't do it. You pick a team when you're 5 years old, and they impact your happiness for the rest of your life.
It is a sickness we have, all of us. But
it is a sickness indeed. And speaking of sickos, I would just want to take a quick second. A sincere, heartfelt thank you to everybody who has tuned into the show this season, whether you've been listening to us for years or if you found the show for the first time last week. Behind the curtain, you would never know the Braves are having their worst year in like 8 years. And we really appreciate it. We love doing the shows. We love the community. So a big thank you, as always, to everybody for checking out the show. We got 3 more games left. We keep going all throughout the off season, and then baseball will be here before we know. But I just wanted to give one last kind of shout out to everybody for checking out the show, because like I said, man, you would never know the Braves were 20 games below 500 at one point, the way people continue to tune in, and that means a lot to us.
It absolutely does. We'll probably shout them out again on Sunday when we do our final in-season show of the season. But yeah, stay tuned. We appreciate everybody being here. We do not stop in the offseason. We barely even slow down, if at all. Like, we're going to be here multiple times every week. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow Scott at Scott Coleman 55. Follow me if you want to at BT Rowland. Follow the podcast at Hammer Territory on social media. Subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends, and we'll see you all next time.